1931 saw the ultimate version of Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. Universal made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And throughout the years since then, almost 100 years now, there's been different attempts to, not say to reinvigorate Mary Shelley's story, but to reimagine it. Now, this one is quite kind of interesting. At a plethora of British stars and an up and coming Canadian or Canadian born star, Michael Cera, who he said he was going to be the next Robert Redford. Didn't pan out, but he was a good actor nonetheless. So today we're going to be talking about the British 3 hour plus TV movie, Frankenstein, the True Story. Came out in 1973, and it was a TV movie loosely based on the 1816 novel Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus by Shelley. It was directed by Jack Smythe, and the screenplay was written by novelist Christopher Isherwood and his longtime partner, Don Bachardy. The film stars Leonard Whiting as Victor, Frankenstein, Jane Seymour as Prima, Dave McCallum as Henry Clerval, James Mason as Dr. Apollodore, and Michael Cera as the creature. James Mason's wife, Clarissa K. Mason, also appeared in the film. Other key actors in there included Nicole Paget, Angers Moorhead, Margaret Leighton, Ralph Richardson, John Gielgud, and Tom Baker. Theme music was for the Night Gallery veteran Jill Melly. Country of origin is states in the UK. Producers were Ian Lewis and Hunt Stromberg Jr., cinematographer by Arthur Ibbotson, editor Richard Martin. A big 182 minutes, and the original release over 2 nights, but have been shown as one movie, November 30th and December 1st, 1973. Don't know why it never came out for Halloween. Now, this one, Victor Frankenstein is a newly trained doctor engaged to Elizabeth Fanshawe, played by Nicola Paget. After Victor's younger brother William dies in a boating accident, Victor renounces God and declares his ideal of being able to restore his brother to life. Victor leaves the Fanshawe estate for further medical training. Studying in London, he meets the charismatic Henry Clerval, played by Dave McCallum, who has discovered how to restore a dead matter to life. Clerval reveals his ultimate plan to create a new race of perfect beings from the remains of the dead. Clerval persuades Victor to help him achieve his aim. He set to work in creating a perfect human, but Clerval dies of a heart attack before the experiment is completed. Victor chooses to honor him by continuing their work and giving their creation Clerval's brain. Now, Victor completes the experiment, brings their artificial human to life, and is entranced by his beauty. He introduces his creation, Michael Cera, to the high-class London society, but soon afterwards is shocked to find there a flaw in the process used to give him life, and the creation flesh is rapidly decaying. As he deteriorates further, the creature discovers his deformed appearance and attempts suicide by jumping from Beachy Head into the sea. Victor assumes the creature is dead and realizes that perhaps it is for the best. Now, the creature powerful his body enables him to survive the fall, and he washes up at the beach unharmed and soon befriends an elderly blind peasant played by Ralph Richardson. Now, Lacey is eager to introduce his new friend to his granddaughter Agatha, played by Jane Seymour, and her husband Felix, played by Dallas Adams. But when they return home, they are terrified by the creature's appearance, and Felix attacks him. In an ensuing struggle, Felix is killed, and the creature and Agatha, fleeing in terror, is struck by the carriage and also killed. Now, the creature takes Agatha's body back to the laboratory, intent on asking Victor to restore her to life. He arrives to find that Victor has left the laboratory and is now occupied by Dr. Apollodore, played by James Mason. Clerval's former mentor, Apollodore, aware of the creature's origins, plans to force Victor to help him create another creature. In the meantime, Victor has abandoned the experiments and married Elizabeth. He is confronted by Apollodore, who blackmails him assisting with the procedure. Now, Apollodore claims that he was the one who perfected the reanimation of dead flesh, secret stolen by Clerval. He rejects Clerval's use of solar power and favors his own chemical reanimation process. Victor attaches Agatha's head to the new body, and he brings to life a female creature whom Apollodore names Prima. Victor leaves for his honeymoon with Elizabeth. Now, when Victor and Elizabeth are away, Apollodore persuades Elizabeth's family to take Prima in as a house guest. But when the couple returns, it becomes evident that Prima is completely insane, and Elizabeth begs Victor to send her away. At the lab, Victor confronts Apollodore, who agrees to leave with Prima as soon as she becomes an established member of society. Before they leave the lab, Apollodore attempts to destroy the original creature by having two of his assistants push him into a vat of acid as he sleeps. Again, a very, very exciting scene all the way around. Now, the Victor stops him from killing them. Polidori locks the creature in the lab and sets the building on fire, resulting in a series of huge explosions. Now, a few days later, a lavish ball is held at the Frankenstein mansion to present Prima to the social elite. She delights the guests, and Polidori reveals he planned to use her as a courtesan to gain international political influence. Suddenly, the badly burned creature bursts into the ballroom and confronts Prima, who attacks him. He eventually decapitates her and throws the head at Polidori's feet as the surviving guests flee. The next morning, Victor and Elizabeth are questioned by the local constable. They learn Polidori has suffered a nervous breakdown and admitted to reanimating Prima. Victor admits to fashioning the creature from bodies, but Elizabeth convinces the constable that her husband is deluded and the police leave. Elizabeth persuades Victor to travel to America in order to begin a new life. After setting sail, Victor and Elizabeth are dismayed to discover that Polidori is also on the ship. He tries to convince Victor that to resume the experiments, but unknown to all, the creature is stowed away and soon emerges from a lifeboat looking for his maker. Elizabeth sees the creature hiding in Polidori's cabin and locks the two of them together in the room. Clerval's mind is resurfaced in the creature, and he's determined to have his revenge on Polidori. Victor unlocks the door, and as the ship's captain and crew become involved, the conflict moves to the upper deck. The creature ties Polidori to the top of the mast, where he's killed by a lightning strike. Victor, attempting to climb the mast to reason with the creature, is knocked unconscious and falls to the deck. The crew members flee in a lifeboat, and the creature takes Victor below deck to care for him. The creature lashes the wheel of the ship on heading straight for the North Pole, but in Victor's cabin, Elizabeth cruelly repudiates the creature, who is mind and as now that of Clerval, strangles her. As Victor remains unconscious below deck, the creature maintains the course to the north. When Victor awakens, he finds the frozen body of Elizabeth on deck and the ship locked in ice. He follows the creature to an ice cave, where he confesses that the entire tragedy was caused by his rejection of the creature. He also knows that, upon his death, the creature will be utterly alone, cursed with an iron body that will keep him alive against his will. As Victor begs the creature's forgiveness, the sound of his shouts sets off an ice avalanche. As tons of ice begin to fall upon them both, the creature in Clerval's voice forgives his creator, who laughs as he realizes that their ordeal is now at a successful end. Now, the character of Dr. Polidori, who did not appear in the original novel, was based on the character of Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein, but named after real-life John Polidori, an acquaintance of author Mary Shelley, who was part of the competition that produced her novel. Polidori's old contribution was the first modern vampire story, The Vampire, Y-R-E. A notable feature of production, instead of being ugly from the start, the creature is portrayed as physically beautiful, but then becoming increasingly hideous as the film progresses. The makeup was by Hammer horror veteran Roy Ashton. It was broadcast on NBC in late 73 in two 90-minute parts, but often seen edited into a single film. His DVD debut date was September 26, 2006, including at the beginning is a short introduction featuring James Mason wandering to St. John's Wood Churchyard, London. He suggests that it is where Mary Shelley is buried, which is incorrect. She is in fact buried in a family plot in Dorset, despite standing behind a gravestone that bears her name. Now, the film's development and production had been delayed extensively and has been detailed extensively in Little Shop of Horrors 38, which was released in June 2017 by film director historical Sam Irvin, who served as guest editor on this issue. Now, the script for the film by Bachardy and Isherwood was published in paperback as a movie tie-in novel. The script contains a prologue in which Shelley is telling her tale of horror to Percy Shelley and Lord Byron, as Dr. Polidori sulks nearby. As she reaches their parts in the tale, they rush to join the main action and the story begins. It was revealed in Little Shop of Horrors that this prologue was filmed, but cut from the movie due to station bosses fearing it was too slow as an opening and may cause viewers to switch off. And this segment had been included, it would have featured Nicola Paget as Mary, Leonard Whiten as Shelley, David McCallum as Byron, and James Mason as Polidori, similar to what Bride of Frankenstein would lead in. Now, the script contains an epilogue following the avalanche. The season changes and the northern ice begins to break apart. Now, the creature's body, still entombed in the remainder of the iceberg, begins to float south into the warmer waters. As the ice melts, one of the hands is exposed. Now, Absorbing the rays of the sun, the hand responds flower-like and slowly begins to open. The scene was scrapped during production and never filmed, as their makers felt it would undermine the tragedy of the film's ending and also that it suggested a sequel, whereas the film was always intended to be a standalone. Now, what's strange about this, ladies and gentlemen, uh, not saying Michael Cerzan was an ugly person, but he wasn't the most beautiful actor in Hollywood. He had good looks, good, Quebecois, kind of that Montreal pop look. But Cerzan was a handsome man. But if you're going to get really a strong looking actor, I'm taking Channing Tatum or one of the Jonas Brothers, like you could redo it. But this is kind of weird to see Ralph Richardson, James Mason, Gielgud, Jane Seymour, Michael Lighton, all these British new and up and coming stars. It was quite nice. Somebody should have been in the movie. I think he would have done great because he's the king of horror, in my estimation, is Oliver Reed. I think Oliver Reed would have brought a lot to this. But Michael Cerzan was being groomed, no pun intended, as an up and coming big marquee star and never panned out, although he had several movies and he slept with several high ranking ingenues. He never really made to the level that people thought he was. But 50 years has still hold up. Like seeing Jane Seymour, she can do horror, science fiction, any type of movie, comedy. She's tremendous. And of course, James Bond was around the corner for her. So in this movie, I give it 3 stars out of 4. But the headline sounds like a documentary. It turned a few people off because this movie should never be called the Frankenstein, the true story. How about this? Frankenstein, the new era, or the new era of Frankenstein, or Frankenstein returns, or Frankenstein has risen, or something different, or Frankenstein exclamation point. But this was not a true story of Frankenstein because nobody has ever really told the true story of what Mary Shelley wanted. I think there's been movies about Mary Shelley and they've missed because a woman that's so nice to make something so violent is still very shocking. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our what do you call it, our Hammer style or the Hammer genre movies who are not Hammer but are quite a bit like Hammer, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.